Today, physical activity is a highly commercialized, moralized obligation. We buy specialized moisture-wicking clothing, pay monthly fees to access indoor facilities, and sweat through highly choreographed routines just to stay healthy. We celebrate the absolute extremes of this culture. We treat the super athlete, the person who willingly subjects themselves to a grueling 140-mile Ironman triathlon, as the peak of human virtue. But nothing captures the strange reality of modern fitness quite like the treadmill. It is a noisy, expensive piece of machinery that forces you to exert massive amounts of energy to go absolutely nowhere. The treadmill was not invented for health. In 1818, the Victorian engineer William Cubitt created the device to punish English prisoners. It was designed to force idle convicts to trudge mindlessly for hours a day. Millions of people struggle to exercise today, and we usually frame that struggle as a personal failure. We blame a lack of willpower.
In reality, our reluctance to work out is a direct clash between modern cultural expectations and millions of years of human evolution. There is a persistent belief called the myth of the athletic savage. It assumes that human beings living outside of modern industrialized societies are naturally eager to run ultramarathons, free from the laziness that plagues the rest of us. The Tarahumara people of Mexico are famous for their long-distance running, yet anthropologists have found they consider the idea of running strictly for fitness to be entirely preposterous. When they run massive distances, it is for highly specific spiritual ceremonies or practical survival, not to stay in shape. We see the same pattern with the Hadza, a modern hunter-gatherer society in Tanzania. While they are highly fit and walk several miles a day to forage, they spend the vast majority of their time in camp sitting on the ground, doing light chores, and resting. If we look at our closest primate cousins, the great apes, the drive to avoid work is even more pronounced. Gorillas and chimpanzees spend almost their entire lives in a perpetual state of resting, napping, and digesting. Pointed conclusion. Across the entire primate spectrum, including humans, constant athletic exertion is an anomaly. The biological baseline is strict energy conservation. What we label as laziness is actually a highly successful survival strategy. Doing absolutely nothing is incredibly expensive for the human body. This pie chart illustrates your total daily energy expenditure. The massive section, taking up nearly 2/3 of the graph, is your resting metabolic rate. This represents the calories your body burns just to keep you alive while you sit perfectly still. The fixed costs of human maintenance are staggering. Your brain and your liver alone consume roughly 40% of your resting metabolism. They constantly draw power, even while you sleep. Because of this heavy biological overhead, natural selection favors the couch potato. For almost all of human history, food was scarce. Any movement that didn't secure food, shelter, or a mate was a dangerous waste of precious resources. We can see exactly how ruthlessly the body prioritizes energy by looking at the Minnesota starvation experiment, conducted near the end of World War II to study severe caloric restriction. When researchers suddenly cut the food intake of healthy volunteers by half, their bodies wasted rapidly. The men became severely lethargic, moving only when absolutely required. Their bodies initiated a massive metabolic shutdown to keep their resting metabolism alive. Their heart rates dropped, their body temperatures fell, and their internal organs actually shrunk to conserve power. A single calorie can only be spent once. Every unit of energy burned during a pointless jog is energy pulled away from your immune system or your body's ability to reproduce. To ensure that every available drop of energy goes towards survival, humans are biologically wired to be as physically inactive as possible. For millennia, our environment forced us to perform the exact amount of physical labor required to survive. But industrialization and the rise of desk jobs have entirely removed that mandatory labor from our daily lives. Anthropologists call this an evolutionary mismatch. We live in an environment that allows us to be entirely sedentary, but we inhabit bodies that still require the physical stress of movement to prevent disease and decay. To stay healthy today, we have to invent manufactured labor. We have to use sheer willpower to force our bodies to spend energy on exercise, actively fighting against millions of years of survival programming. So when you struggle to find the motivation to step onto a treadmill, you aren't failing. You are behaving exactly like a perfectly evolved human being. Once we drop the shame of our biological instincts, we can finally figure out how to get moving.